This is He Knows His Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk to you guys about Floyd Money Mayweather. This one right here, I was like, you know what? Let me sit down and talk about this one because I feel like in this video, it's going to be impactful, it's going to be detailed, it's going to explain a few things. Now, with Floyd Money Mayweather, I would consider him probably the most polarizing boxer in the history of boxing. He's damn near an enigma. He's kind of hard to figure out. I'm going to explain why. The thing with Floyd Money Mayweather is inside of the square circle, inside of the ring, the man was a genius. His application and his dedication to the sport was second to none. But outside the ring, Floyd Mayweather took the self-preservation is the law of the land. He took that bit to the extreme. The man is self-absorbed. He's all about himself. And basically, he's all about getting his. So a lot of the criticisms that he gets, some of it is justified because of his behavior outside of the ring, right? But not all of it. Because folks have to understand, at the end of the day, I'm not a person that's a lifetime judger of a person when it comes to what they do outside of the boxing square circle. We're here to talk about strictly the sweet science. So if folks are all caught up in what Floyd Money Mayweather does outside of the ring, that's on you. I don't got time to be focused on all that stuff. To me, that's rhetoric. If anybody knows me, they know I'm all about the sweet science. I could care less about all that rhetoric or all that stuff that happens outside of the ring. Now, you guys have to understand, this man has single-handedly made boxers powerful. He's made them be able to have more power in their hands so that they wouldn't be able to be treated any kind of way by promoters. Now, obviously, you got to be a fighter that fights at a certain level, and you have to have some kind of namesake in order for that to ring true. Not just any old fighter is going to get that level of respect, but still, even the bottom feeders, they're given way more respect now than they ever did before. You guys have to understand the landscape of boxing. See, and this is not just credit to Floyd Money Mayweather. It's also credit to Al Heyman. Fighters were treated like slaves. Hence, Barry Hearn, you heard his statements not too long ago. He's not the only promoter that thought that way. There's a lot of promoters out there that sit here and treat these fighters like they're slave traders. They dictate the contract. They dictate the terms. Don King was like that. Bob Arum has always been like that. You know, they dictate. I call them old shiesty motherfuckers. You know, old car salesman types. They slick. You know, they're crooners with their shit. But at the same time, they suffocate you. And they try to beat fighters into submission in financial negotiations because they know a lot of these fighters are not financial savvy. They know a lot of these fighters don't understand economics, let alone have taken an economics class. So they know how to dupe them because they are savvy when it comes to business and they are savvy when it comes to money. So here's the thing. Money Mayweather, say what you want about the guy. The guy was molded by Al Heyman. Al Heyman was like, look, man, you're not getting your just due with Bob Arum and Top Rank. So we need to get you out of that situation, and we need to show the world the true and the proper fighter that you are. And you need to get the most bang for your buck. I don't have a problem with a fighter getting theirs. Because at the end of the day, it's prize fighting. People fight for legacies, right? But they also fight for money. They also got to fight to take care of their families. And only folks that are in that exact position would understand the magnitude and the understanding or the full weight and gravity of why a fighter like a Floyd Money Mayweather is trying to maximize his bottom line. There's not a problem in that. And the reason why I don't hold that against Floyd Money Mayweather like I do with these new age fighters is because he didn't cheat us of boxing. The man was a true gym rat. He dedicated himself to the craft of the sport. His motto, hard work and dedication. You got fighters out here nowadays that are saying it loosely. Shit. Andy Ruiz Jr. saying that. Hard work and dedication. So people can say what they want. But Floyd Money Mayweather has impacted a lot of fighters. He's helped a lot of fighters to understand that not only are you in the sport for legacy, right? But you also have to understand what is there after boxing. You got to say hats off to something like that. Him and Al Heyman made a lot of fighters out there understand that. This is why PBC has the biggest stable in boxing. People can say what they want about Al Heyman. Is he perfect? No. There's nobody that's perfect. But he takes care of his fighters. When you got somebody like About Bullshit, Adrian Broner, making as much as Terrence Bud Crawford, that should tell you something. I told you guys, Terrence Crawford and Bomac, them Negroes don't know how to count their money. I'm going to say it again. Those Negroes do not know how to count their money. Because Bob Arum is one of the worst, man. This guy's been around since the Don King era. So I don't even need to tell you how much shystiness, how much backdoor dealing, and how much politics has been going on with this guy. This guy's been around. So you got a guy like Al Heyman that shows up on the scene. And he's like, look, man, these boxers need to get more for the damage that they're putting themselves into. Because you guys have to understand, at the end of a fighter's career, there's a lot of damage that they take, especially if they're a fighter that takes a lot of punishment. So who profits? Who benefits? A lot of these fighters, when they retire, just 3 to 5 years after retirement, they're broke. And nobody's paying attention to them. Only time people were paying attention to them was when they were doing their thing inside the square circle. So you can't get mad at a guy that's looking at the bigger picture in a Floyd Money Mayweather and that was willing to open his ears and listen to a guy like Al Heyman. Say what you want, but a lot of these fighters nowadays, especially the top fighters, they've looked up to Floyd Money Mayweather. Earl Spence, Andre Ward prior to him retiring, Terrence Bud Crawford. A lot of guys look up to him. But Floyd Money Mayweather earned his weight. He gave us a lot of great fights. A lot. The Gotti fight, that was a great fight. The Zab Judah fight, that was a great fight. The Shane Mosley fight, that was a great fight. The Juan Manuel Marquez fight, that was a very good fight. You know, the Ricky Hatton fight, that was a good fight. You name it, man. This man has fought opponents after opponents after opponents after opponents. You know, Floyd Money Mayweather, man, has not cheated the sport. He's given us epic performances. And when he had questionable fights like Castillo, he ran that shit back because he wanted it to be definitive. When he had that issue with Maidana, he ran it back because he wanted to make it definitive. So this guy did not cheat us, man. So people that sit here and say that Money Mayweather is this and Money Mayweather is that, we know the guy has his issues outside of the square circle. But there are no issues, man. And his fist told no lies inside the square circle. The man was a boxing genius, a defensive stalwart, and a defensive wizard. Like nobody's business. I mean, it was just unreal what this man was doing in the boxing ring. How he was able to adapt to an opponent and switch up within rounds 3 to 5 what they are doing against them. And people forget, Pretty Boy Floyd, man, this guy was a knockout artist, man. Before his hands became brittle, he was getting guys out of there. People say, oh, Floyd Mayweather don't got no pop. But we noticed that in the Canelo Alvarez fight, he had to be throwing something to keep Alvarez off him. It wasn't like Alvarez was scared to, it wasn't like Alvarez was chopping at the bit to come in there. We learned that. The man knows how to place his punches like nobody's business. And he had footwork, man. I mean, the way he changed his gears, the way he steps in, he steps to the side. The way this man used to do his check left hook and check right hook, man, it was unreal. He used to knock out people like that. Go look at the Ricky Hatton fight. He knocked out Ricky Hatton with a check left hook. I mean, the guy was just insane. If you go back and look at the tail of the tape and you look at film study on this guy, you would marvel and understand what his defense was all about. Remember, the sweet science at its truest core is hit and don't be hit. I'm going to say it again. Hit and don't be hit. And this guy did this at the highest levels. So when folks are sitting here and they're saying that Floyd Mayweather didn't mean nothing to boxing, or Floyd Mayweather, he ruined boxing, that's bullshit. Now, am I a fan of Mayweather Promotions and what they stand for? No. A glaring no. And I'll say that again, no. Now, Floyd Mayweather as a promoter, now that's been a shit show. Because he has become so self-absorbed. Again, this goes back to him having that self-preservation bit, right? To the extreme, to where he doesn't know how to turn himself on and then allow the light or the star of other fighters after him to shine bright. And I think that's the issue he's faced. But that's a internal issue. That's a self-inflicted issue on his part. He's allowed himself to be so self-absorbed within himself, what we call a class A type narcissist in my profession, right? That's what he is. And he's so caught up in that there's just no coming back from it. So if there's an issue with him, that is his issue. But in terms of what he's done in the square circle, there's no arguing that, man. This man has taken on all comers. Now, are there some fights on the table that we could sit here and question and say, hey, maybe he could have fought, some opponents? Yes, I do believe that. But the bottom line is, we're not going to sit here and question this man's boxing resume. And I think people are mad because of the fact that every time they wanted him to lose, he did the opposite. The man was excellent. He was a master manipulator when it came to manipulating boxing fans' minds, man. You got to give him credit for that. He had the gift of gab. And not only that, he was able to do it in the ring. See, it's one thing when somebody runs their mouth, right? But if the person runs their mouth and then they can't be about what they talk about, then that's a whole nother ball game. But when somebody runs their mouth and then backs it up each and every single time, come on, man. Hats off to that person. That's why I like Deontay Wilder, because he's the same. I'm not comparing him in terms of skills, but I'm comparing him in terms of the shit talking. He runs his fucking mouth, but he backs it up each and every fucking time. Someone that does that, that's an anomaly, man. You got to give that person credit, because they're going out there and they're doing exactly what they say they are going to do. Floyd Mayweather, his boxing resume should not be questioned. Anyone that questions it, they need to get their head checked. Anyone that questions it really needs to ask themselves, are they truly a purist and a connoisseur of this sport? Because even Floyd Mayweather's most ardent haters, right? Even the most ardent critics give this man respect, because they understood what this man brought to the table when we're talking about the realm of the sweet science and the realm of boxing. See, a lot of people get caught up in their style of what they think boxing is. Oh, we like action-packed fights where people rip each other's heads off. You know what I'm saying? And people sit there and they beat each other's brains out. That's not the sweet science. At its core, the sweet science is hit and don't be hit. Let me say that again. Hit and don't be hit. And you got to ask yourself this question. Who is better than Floyd Mayweather at that? There's not many you could mention. He's in rarefied air. We're talking about SLRs, Sugar Ray Leonard's, Sweet Pea, Pernell Whitaker. He's along that mode, folks. Andre Ward's along those modes. Roy Jones Jr. in his prime, before he was, before he lost his footwork. This is the stuff that I'm talking about, man. This man does not get the full and proper credit that he deserves. But he gave us greatness after greatness after greatness. So we just got to put respect on the man's name when it comes to what he has done inside the square circle. You say what you want about that guy. And the other thing about Floyd Mayweather, he made it very clear, time in and time out, whether it was 24/7s or whether if it was on Showtime, every time he was in the documentary, he always said, I'm not perfect, but God made my boxing resume perfect, right? He wasn't perfect outside the ring, but he was perfect in that square circle. At least he acknowledged that. You got to respect someone that understands their demons. But who doesn't have demons, man? We all face our inner demons. We all have our vices. We all have our issues. So why are we sitting here and knocking Floyd Mayweather for his? Again, this goes back to self-reflection that I keep talking about. Folks are not secure in themselves. So because they are insecure and miserable as fuck within themselves, they need to take that same hate, right? That same troll and push it out somewhere else. Push that negative energy out somewhere else. Because it's about them and their lack of security in themselves. Because that's really what it boils down to, folks. It doesn't boil down to anything else. You guys have to understand. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. I'm going to say it again. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. And when you see people using their hatred, their trolling, and their spewing negativity, it speaks volumes to that person's character. Because do you understand how much energy it takes to hate? Do you understand how much energy it takes to troll? But like Floyd Mayweather has learned, I'm nowhere near his level, but in my own little lane, I understand it. Your haters make you greater. Let me say that again. Your haters make you greater. And last time I checked, your haters are your secret lovers. I'm going to say that again. Your haters are your secret lovers. Believe it or not, all these people you see that's sitting here and that's hating on Floyd Money Mayweather, they actually, behind closed doors, respect him in terms of what he brought to the table in the square circle. So we just got to keep it a buck. We got to keep it real. We got to call a spade or what? A fucking spade, and keep that thing 100. This is He Knows His Sport. Checking out.